Hi, everyone. I'm Teresa Lisum, and I want to welcome you to Evolving Women, to my amazing guest co host, Sarah Fracasso. Welcome, my friend. Thank you so much. We're evolving women. You're evolving. I'm evolving. We're all evolving. So, why not go on this journey of evolution together? And to help on that journey, we're here to share uplifting messages, offer new perspectives, maybe some tools, some resources, maybe some wellness ideas, mindset shifts, plant some new seeds so we all evolve faster. We're also here to give you permission to be your best self. So, welcome. We're so glad you're here, and I'm so glad you're here, Sarah. Thank you so much for taking some of your precious time to speak with us today and share some of your insights and wisdom that you've gleaned throughout your life.
Excited to be here.
Now, we were talking, and when I was looking over some of the things that you've done in your life, you seem to have reinvented yourself multiple times. Can you share with us a little bit about that reinvention journey?
Sure. Some of it has been willful and some of it has been out of my
As
out of
as
my
we all are like that. We all
hands. Yeah, sure. So, just like anybody who is asked at 18 to like choose your lifetime career, I did not succeed at that, right? So straight out of the gate, I had like three different majors in college. Everything you can think of from creative writing to theater to sports medicine, which is where I landed. No one's really sure how that happened to this day. But I love it. So that worked out well enough. And then as I got into the workforce, right away, you kind of have this idea of what you like to do, you think, and then you get into the
Mhm.
workforce and it's not what you thought. And so you quickly
Yes.
start to develop that list of like what I don't want to do.
Yeah.
So that happened pretty quickly. And I knew that I did not want to be, so I'm a certified athletic trainer. If you've watched any sporting event ever and seen somebody get injured on the field, those folks with like khaki pants and, you know, fanny packs that run out on the field. That's
Yep.
me, what I
Yep.
do, right? So there's good and bad. You get the best seats on the field for every sporting event imaginable, but you're also only working nights and weekends. And when the
Mm-hmm.
rest of the world is enjoying themselves, that's when you start. So I knew that that wasn't going to be sustainable for me long term. So I first thought, okay, well, I'd really like to teach at the collegiate level. I'd really like to teach sports medicine because I love it. I love what I do. I love the subject matter. So first I made a goal that I was going to get a PhD so that I could go teach at the collegiate level.
Mm-hmm.
This was my 5-year goal going into the workforce. And so I achieved that. And that was exciting. And I'm really good at like focusing on a goal and getting there. So I got into the PhD program. I was working on the PhD. And then here comes one of those events that I had no control over, right? So unfortunately, I was in this terrible car accident,
Mm-hmm.
um, which derailed things real quick. I unfortunately had a lot of injuries. I had a brain injury, really bad concussion that just totally took me out of the game. And on one vein, it was awful and like painful and all the things that you could do without it. But on the other vein, it really forced me to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I had no choice but to sit in the quiet on the couch day after day with nothing but my thoughts because everything
Mm-hmm.
else gave me a headache.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it was really the universe stepping in and being like, now, Sarah, are we enjoying this? It's like, why do we want to be a PhD? Why do we want to be a doctor? Why do we want to teach? All the things. And I quickly realized several things about myself that I was maybe doing this for the wrong reasons. I was doing it for well, I do very much like to teach, but it was more about becoming the first doctor in the family and
Mm-hmm.
doing proud by my immigrant grandmother and doing my family, making them really proud and making them really,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, feel like their sacrifices were worth it.
Yeah.
But realistically, academia was not filling up my cup because it's not
Hmm.
just walking into his classroom and teaching all these cool things. It's,
Hmm.
you know, the committee work, and it's, um, publish or perish and all of that um, research part that I enjoy, but like was not why I was there. So I had to think long and hard on that. And fortunately, I had like my yoga practice and some meditation practice to kind of keep me grounded and sane. But in the process of trying to figure out what it is I really wanted to do, once again, the universe stepped in and was like, oh, oh, actually, um, you have to make money now. So I
Yeah.
started to um, take on whatever as I healed, right? I kind of took whatever job that my brain could handle, and whatever was kind of in front of me because I was still conserving energy and doing rehab and trying to recover. And
Yeah.
it was like you're just in survival mode. You just have to make sure the rent's paid.
Hmm.
So that's when I started making decisions based on how many dollar signs were getting put in front of me. How could I make
Yeah.
money efficiently and quickly? And
Hmm.
so that was a whole other reason or set of reasons why I was making decisions in my life. It wasn't fully autonomous or in alignment with me. It was like in alignment with not becoming homeless, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
right, but it wasn't like finding my passion. So I did all sorts of things, Teresa. I sold insurance. I, worked club soccer games, and I tutored kids, and I dog sat, whatever I could do to pay the bills. And finally, I ended up getting offered um, a more permanent role back in the sports medicine realm. And I was like, got to do it. It's good money, it's salary, it's steady. I won't have to be
Hmm.
doing all this. So I took that. That role forced me to learn a lot of new things that I really enjoyed. I got to learn about business, and I got to learn about the business of healthcare, which for better or worse. And I kept making really big strides in that job to the point where they wanted to promote me and then promote me and promote me again,
Hmm.
which was very cool. But now I'm away from all the things. I'm no longer doing patient care. I'm no longer feeling like I'm helping. I'm no longer, making my schedule, and it's not as free. But the doctors are really pleased with me, and my bosses are really pleased with me, and I'm getting these little trinkets of, these little atta girls, and like, here's
Hmm. Yeah.
5% raise, here's this,
Yeah.
which was enough to keep me going. And then I got to a point where they had promoted me so high, and I had a lot of, it looked really good. I had a really impressive job title. I had a
Hmm.
lot of people working under me, and that was fulfilling to a degree, but also I had very little power over anything. And COVID happened.
Mm.
I was working in healthcare admin in the height of COVID. And a lot of, as I'm sure any business owner, especially those of y'all in healthcare, can tell you, a lot of decisions, very difficult decisions, had to be made very quickly with very little information.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was scary. But I didn't really get to have a lot of feedback or input into those decisions. So a lot of things happened that I didn't agree. But I was forced to, because I was a part of the management team, you had to kind of co-sign those things,
Hmm.
the staff to buy in. And it was tricky, but I started to very quickly notice myself uh, struggling. So I was showing up at work stressed out and snapping at my staff for stuff that was not their fault.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
was at home at the time. I was in a relationship, and I remember him saying to me, if I could change one thing about you, it would be your job.
Mm. Hmm.
So
Wow.
I noticed that I was like walking around like this all the time because
Oh,
I was just
yes.
carrying so much stuff.
Yes.
And so once COVID kind of died down, I immediately started looking for another job, and I thought I just have to get out of this environment. This is
Hmm.
toxic. I don't feel aligned. And I inadvertently in my like quest for autonomy, found this job that seemed like a dream job, but realistically burnt me out even worse. Uh,
Oh, wow.
I was traveling the world. It seemed very exciting. Again,
Mm,
it was a very impressive title. But the company that I was walking into was in this major state of flux. And
mm.
so all the things that I thought I was walking into, I wanted, mentorship and polish and training. And everybody, as soon as I got hired, quit.
Oh my gosh.
So
Wow.
baptism by fire once again. And
Hmm.
that's when I really had to start looking myself in the mirror and going, I think this is a me thing a little bit. Like, I think I could serve the world better. And I think I would be serving myself better if I went into business for myself.
Mm,
Because I'm so tired of all these decisions happening at me instead of being
hmm.
able to. And some people might call me a control freak, and that's valid to a degree. But I just needed that autonomy over my life again. I needed to be able to go, no, this is what's going to happen, and this is how
Hmm.
it's going to happen. And so I took that giant leap, and now I am my own
Mm,
business owner, and we're going on 3 years in. And I have even then had to reinvent myself a couple of times. I've reinvented the business and my offer and all the things. But I've really sort of settled into who I want to be and who I want to show up for and how I want to show up and what my business should look like. What are my
mhm,
values and learning how to make my business reflect that. And that's been
mm.
a huge journey.
Love
I'm
that.
deeply grateful for. But
Um,
going on 40, so it's taken a minute. It's not.
well, you're getting to it a lot quicker than I ever did in my life, so I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
Some of us take longer than others, but yeah,
We
so you
certainly
you
see
got a lot of things
it.
that we could speak on here.
Yeah.
One being having to make a decision at a young age, at 18, early 20s, as to what we want to do with our life's path.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're in it, it's just the thing to do. This is the expectation. What college are you gonna choose? What's gonna be your major? Like that's just the flow. You just get caught up in the flow
Mhm.
of that. And then how many people do we both know, and all of us know that did that and then got out and like, oh, that's not what I wanted to
Yep.
do.
I think
But we're
a lot of people say they just like this is what it was expected of me. So
exactly, exactly.
yeah.
And when I look back on that, when I had that realization, like, that is just way too young for anybody to make those types of long-term decisions. I mean, me at my end and at this phase in my life, I'm still making those decisions and changing and trying to find out who I want to be when I grow up, and our brain's not even matured at that age. What, not until 25, but then I also heard recently not till 30s where our frontal lobe actually matures.
Yep.
But yet the expectation of these young kids is to make a decision, make a choice, go into that field, stay there, make the money, blah, blah, blah. And we're really not serving them, I don't think.
And we put a lot of pressure on that.
We certainly do. We
Yeah.
certainly do. Well, you don't know by now, you're 21, you still don't know, like that's big. But I loved that maybe you don't see it this way, maybe you do, but you tried lots of different things. And it's almost like that is a fault or that's a failure. You tried different things, like that's not a good thing. But in my opinion, that's what we all should be doing, especially at that point in our life. You try different things. You just explore, you're curious, you step in somebody's shoes,
Yeah.
see if they align with your values, and that's what we that's what we should be asking of them or giving them the opportunity to do. And then hopefully they'll find something that really resonates with them and does align with them instead of going through all that stress of
Yeah.
taking a job just to settle and to satisfy a family or a generational thing, as
Mm.
you did. And I really think a lot of people, their stress comes from the way this plays out is the default, or as we see as the normal way of doing things. Is it normal?
I mean, what's normal?
I know what's normal.
I think, well, you're to your point, we really force folks to like reverse engineer things, right? Like,
Yes.
let's see how bad we can get it before we turn around and go, well, so what are my values and why
Yes.
that
Yes.
feels so icky to me, right? Where
Hmm.
wouldn't it be nice? And I don't know that you would know this at 18 either. Like, what are my values? What
Right. Well, lead them
I
at
don't think I ever verbalized my values until I sat down to create my business plan.
well, yeah, like that's like me. I didn't verbalize it. Well, maybe 10 years ago was the earliest I did it, but maybe that's what we could be doing for them at that point in their life is to help them find themselves and figure out their values and what's important to them. Like you said, it may be still a little too early in their lives, but it's a good starting point.
At least to cultivate that awareness,
Right,
right?
right.
You're in at work, when you're in class, when you're whatever it
Mhm,
is, and you get that anxiety or that feeling, or like I said, like you're
mhm.
wearing your shoulders up around your, crown.
Right, right,
And it's like, well, what is causing that discomfort, and learning to notice that within yourself and saying,
right.
triggering this ickiness.
Right.
What is
Yeah, like you said, that yeah, that awareness, that the awareness of feelings or sensations or what your body's trying to tell you. Notice it when you're young as opposed to waiting till you're midlife and then like, oh, waking up like, with a realization like, oh, I do not want to be doing this. I never wanted to do it. I stepped into this because that's what my mom wanted me to do or whatever, the
right?
scenario was. But yeah, and I so applaud and appreciate women such as yourself who has had that awareness and then took the big leap, as you said. Just decided like I'm just doing this. I'm just going to go for it. Those other things are fine, which is another thing that happens. We can be really, really good and our skill set's really great and like you got a lot of little accolades and a great job description and everything on the outside looked really perfect to other people, but yet for you it was not your passion, it was not satisfying enough. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we can be really good at a job, but yet it's not not our authentic self, not something we're passionate about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's so many things you can learn to get good at stuff,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so you sort of go into this like autopilot of, well,
Yes.
I'm good at it and it's easy and I've got to hit my
Mhm.
stride, as it were.
Yep.
And we're also, I think, taught, and I have to applaud the younger generation because I think they're breaking out of this, but so
I
many of us
agree.
are taught like, just don't complain. You just suck it up.
Yep.
You think
Yep.
you got it bad. My dad had it worse. His dad had it
Mhm.
worse yet.
Yes.
I'll walk
Yes.
to school barefoot uphill in the
Yeah,
snow.
of course,
Um,
in the snow, both ways with a
Suck it
broken
up.
leg.
Not that bad. But I mean, and then where do you turn up, right? Like, I've watched my parents. I mean, my father worked his butt off his entire life in the same company doing manual
Mhm.
labor.
Yeah.
And then he retired at 60 something. And like, I'm sorry if you watch this, Dad, but like, you're old now. You're not off traveling the world and doing
Right.
cool
Right.
things. You've used your energy up at this
Hmm.
job that was sucking you dry forever. And like,
Yeah.
thank you, because you gave me a great life and you gave,
Hmm.
us, our family, stability. But I don't see you out there like living it up, right? So
Hmm.
some of, that's kind of the price you pay for shoving down the discomfort your
Yeah.
whole life.
Yeah.
Um, or you can be, and it's hard, and like, not everybody has the flexibility or the freedom or the privilege to go, I'm just going to quit my job
Yeah.
and I'm going to figure my shit out and,
Hmm.
pursue that. And so I'm grateful for that, and I acknowledge that too. But um I hope that we can get to a point with the younger folks that they can see sooner, um
Right.
the payoff of really learning to discover yourself and tap in.
And the world will be a better place when that does happen more frequently.
Uh,
We won't have this generation of stressed out people that are just working to make the money and just
right.
accepting a mediocre position or a job just to, like you said, running on default, just
Mhm.
running on. And I'm guessing that is a cultural, societal thing too. I don't know where that ever started, you know, but we're here to break out of that, aren't we? And to set the
Yeah. No
example and
more.
to plant those seeds to our viewers and listeners who are listening in. Like, yeah, and it does
Yeah.
take courage. It does take courage to step out, take that leap, and try something. And it might not be a one-time smooth thing that
Heaven.
action that happens. It's a process, like you said, you've done lots of different iterations of your your business plan already. And that's to me, that's what we're here to do is to keep trying things and evolve and tweak and expand and grow.
And just
But
living intentionally, right? Instead
yeah,
of that.
right. Intent, yes, yes, yes.
Mhm.
You kept saying your autonomy with our own choices and our own decisions, not because we're following on the hamster wheel of everybody else,
Right.
and stepping into that default. But that does take some courage. And I think we do need to first have that awareness and then figure out who are we? What are our values? What do I stand for? What's my passion? Not everybody takes the time to figure that out. Or if they do, like I said, maybe later on in life.
I think a lot of folks, especially for me anyway, I can say when I was younger, I was very convinced that I knew myself quite well.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was
Yeah.
convinced I was, um, but realistically, I was living the values that were passed down to me.
Yes.
Nothing wrong
Yes.
with the values that were passed down to me, but they weren't my values.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
so, it again, I don't want to put too much pressure on the younger generation to go, well, you need to figure out who you are. Because a lot of people are walking around going, I know exactly who I am. Thank you very much. But I woke up one day in my 30s and went, who's that girl? Don't know her. Um,
That you brought up a good point. Yeah, I have an 11-year-old granddaughter who thinks she knows who she is. She's not even close. But I mean, that's the journey.
right.
That is the journey for sure. That is the fun of being here in human
Yeah.
form.
Just learning to give yourself that compassion to go, oh, silly me. That was, you know more now. You can act on the information that you have now, and that's okay to change your mind, right?
Right, right. It's okay to change your mind. I love that. How simple. Sometimes we don't think it's okay to change our mind. As you alluded to your dad, my dad was the same way. I don't think they realized that they could change and try something different.
Mhm. Yeah, my dad was very risk averse. And so
Yeah.
he
Oh,
told me,
yeah,
I'm going to
exactly.
quit my job. I'm going to change my business. I'm going to move to
Right,
3
right.
different states. And he's like, okay. Well, that sounds terrifying, but
Yes, yes.
do you?
And I totally agree that the younger generation is a lot more comfortable with that. I know I have some nieces and nephews and my own three girls, and that was what they were doing. Like my one nephew, every 2 years, he was changing jobs. I mean, he had a trajectory, he knew what he was doing, but to the outside, his grandmother in particular, why do you keep changing jobs? That's not good to do. Like, how's
Yeah,
that look on your resume? Like, she could not understand
right,
that that was a good thing. She was from the same generation as your dad. You stay in a job for 40 years, you suck it up, you put in your labor, your blood, your sweat, your tears, and then all of the good stuff happens afterward.
right, right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's just something we're fed that is not true. And
sure,
we have to break that, I think.
sure. Yeah.
Break
Uh,
that patterning. So
uh,
please, oh God, I don't want to break you.
no, go
Sounds like
ahead.
you looks like you're ready to give us some wisdom.
My mind was going in a bunch of different directions. So please guide me. What did you have?
No, I was just going to ask. I know you're passionate about what you're doing right now in your online business. You want to share with us?
Yeah, so what's cool is that I've settled on I don't have to pick one thing. And that's why I'm able to be passionate about it. I joke that I just leaned into my ADHD now, because I let myself have a lot of different projects and a lot of different clients that, I'm not doing the same thing every single day. It's similar. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but so I'm working with small businesses and helping them solve the problems within their businesses in order for them. So everybody who, as I'm sure you can attest, when you decide to start your own business, um, you most of us do it because we foresee the way we would like to live our life, and we want our business to afford us this lifestyle. Whether
Mm-hmm.
it's I want to make $1 billion, or whether it's I want to be off by noon on Friday,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that means to you. Often, especially if we're solopreneurs, you quickly learn that this is not a 40-hour work week if
Right.
you have to do everything on your own. And
Yep.
it's easy to get sucked back into that mindset of, well, I need to be working all the time. And I
Mm-hmm.
need to be, if there's a problem, I have to solve it. And if there's, whatever that may mean, if it's your marketing, if it's your product, if it's your customer service, if it's you're all those people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go to your
Yes.
job and you go, well, I'm going to go to this department. Well, I am that department, babe. So it can really suck you in. And then you learn this other form of shame and guilt where it's like, well, if I'm enjoying myself, I'm not doing enough. But
Mm.
the reason you got into business was so that you didn't have to live in this constant swirl, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool because I can come into other people's businesses and I learn, what are your values? What is your brand? How do you like to operate? And then I go, okay, give me that. Go take a break. You go do the thing that you enjoy doing, that you got
Mm-hmm.
into business for. And I'm going to create those systems in that back end. And I'm going to empower your staff to be able to handle these situations on your behalf in a way that
Mm-hmm.
you would be happy with. And you might never even know what happened because you just be out there living your best life, comfortable that your back end is being taken care of, your clients are taken care of, your staff is happy, all the things, right? So I actually really love that because I'm able to like nurture
Mm-hmm.
and bring, that peace and that freedom back to the business owner. And it's tricky, right? Because you get so used to that control freak, right? Like I get to, okay, we're doing it my way. And it's, I'm in charge and my name is on it. So and that's valid, right? But you can
Right?
get everything in your business, including your staff, up to your expectations if you just let go a little.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm able to create that freedom for both the staff and um, the business owner, it is so lovely for everybody
Mm.
involved, right? Because you can see people going, oh, okay, this is possible and this is great. Um, so yeah, but that
Yeah,
took
thank
every
you.
bit of experience in my life to learn all
Mm.
the tools to go, here you go.
There you go. It was all leading up to this.
Yes, ma'am.
And I
Absolutely.
know we had spoken before we started the episode about communication within that business. I know communication is just huge, whether it's in a business, in a partnership, in your personal life. There, communication is like huge for everything. How does it, or how do you handle improving that communication in what you just explained?
Yeah. So one of the very first questions I ask when I come into an organization is, how do you prefer to be communicated with? Are you a texter? Are you a phone call person? Are you an email person? Do you want me to walk in your office and interrupt what
Mm-hmm.
you're doing and tell you, like, how do you like to be communicated with? And then I ask everybody on staff the same thing. And what I often find is like there are systems that exist, but only these couple of people use it.
Mm-hmm.
And the leader doesn't use it at all. And there's 25 group chats and they're all the same people minus one.
Uh-huh.
And you get lost. And
Yep.
So first you have to figure out what do people want, how do people want to be communicated in a way that's not going to overwhelm and stress them out, but also holds them accountable.
Hmm.
And then what is everyone else doing? And then you kind of have to agree on creating the system and getting the buy-in for everyone to use it. And that can be tricky. So
Hmm.
it's finding out where they are, where would they like to be, and like what's the middle ground, right? And then getting that buy-in of, okay, so we're not going to do group chats anymore. We're going to all communicate in this whatever system they have,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
you're responsible for checking that once a day. How does that feel to you? And then having someone to hold them accountable. Well, it was in the group, it was in this, you didn't check, and so that's why you didn't know. Or, well, I didn't put it there, and that's where we're all told to check, and so
Hmm.
someone else got left to dry. And having the accountability to say, that was your bad. You dropped that. We
Hmm.
all agreed
Yeah.
on this and you didn't follow through, and that's why this happened. Can you see that now? So it's the uniformity and the buy-in, and then what are the consequences? And I'm not saying like, well, you skipped an email, you're fired.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Right. But you see the consequences of your actions, and like, you have to take ownership for that, or this isn't a fit. And
Yeah.
that's
I like that you referred to feeling. How's that feel?
mhm. Mhm.
I don't know if that's something that is common in a workplace. Where I was working, I was an educator in a public school district. That was never
Shoot.
never touched upon.
Right.
In a staff meeting, like, nah, no. Nobody said, like, how you feeling? How's that feel for you? Like, nope, didn't
Mhm.
happen. So that would be a beautiful thing from my perspective
Yeah.
to
When it's
ask
possible,
about that.
right? I'm sure like if you go the entire public school system in America, you can't go, okay, how's everyone feeling? Let's streamline it.
Right, right, right.
So I hear you. But as you know, I mean, if you just look around, everybody at work and in their business or in the school system, everyone's just so stressed out and everyone's
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
living in that fight or flight.
Mm-hmm,
We could
mm-hmm.
create a system where every time you look down at your cell phone, you don't have a mini panic attack.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
be more effective in your communication, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm just going to ignore that text message, or
Right, right.
I'm going to click not read on that, and then a month later I
I
might,
might revisit it.
right. So if we can get that overwhelm out of the,
Mm-hmm.
out of the equation, I think everyone is a little calmer and more appreciative of communication, right?
And more efficient,
Yeah.
enjoy their job a lot more, bring in that passion. Oh yeah, I
Let's
love
say
all
be
this.
reactive, right? Because you're having a
Mm-hmm.
bad day and you're just bing, 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 and finally,
Mm-hmm.
what?
Yeah.
What do you want from me? And that person's just like, did you want a pickle on your sandwich at lunch? I'm so sorry to bother you. And then you're like, well, I'm a jerk. Um, so if we can get that overwhelm out of the equation, we just all kind of kumbaya with
Hmm.
each other a little more easily. So
Yeah. It
that's
just
always
would,
the goal.
I know I would want that in my company or my business for sure. Everybody's happier. Again, when you're happier, you're more productive, more efficient. Who wouldn't want that?
Yes. And I think the second thing in terms of communication is teaching others to teach themselves how to receive communication and how to receive
Ooh.
feedback. If you're my boss and every time something goes wrong, you bite my head off, guess what? You're not going to be as in the loop
Mm-hmm.
as you would like to be, because I
Right.
avoid telling you as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Exactly.
and similarly, you have leaders who, for lack of a better word, they get that control freak about them, right? So they hear, oh, so and so is struggling. Well, that's okay. I'm just going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see you struggle. I don't know how to coach you, or I don't, I'm just going to do it because I don't want to, and that's lovely, right? As a leader, that you're willing to try to offload that. But
Mm-hmm.
then, well, who's going to offload you, right?
Yeah.
Now you're
Yeah.
in the weeds. And so it's learning how to accept feedback and take it well. It's learning how to give it productive way. Um, and then it's what do you do with it once you get it, right?
Mm,
And now I've managed to not freak out. How are we going to do this? Are we going to delegate it? Are we going to coach with it? Are we going to take it as our own? Are we going to collaborate and problem solve together?
mm,
You have options, and that's um, it's coaching the self-awareness and coaching mm, you can't coach desire, but the awareness of what the intentionality of how you're going to handle each piece of communication.
yeah. And just what you've said, there's a lot of pieces that we don't really pay attention to or realize are there. I mean, just receiving how we're receiving the information or the feedback, like that's huge. Like you said, are we popping off? Are we letting our ego get in the way? Are we just dismissing what we're hearing? Like those are all different vibes that you're giving off to another person. And then how are they receiving it? So it's this back and forth receiving of information, not just spewing it at somebody. So yeah, I love that. Thank you. That was a great awareness for me personally. So thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So I do want to be aware of our time. So we need to wrap this up.
Okay.
I'd like to ask you how people can get a hold of you if they want to connect with you and have you maybe come into their business and you can help them learn how to receive
Yeah,
information in a better way.
absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram. It's at Strolling Sage.
Love that.
You're also welcome to, you can DM me. You're welcome to send me an email. It's sarah@strollingsage.com, or just pop on over to my website and give it a look. And there's, different links you can click for different offers. Feel out what I have to offer and what you might want in your business. And there's lots of ways to get a hold of me or book a call right there. So strollingsage.com.
I love that name. That is so cool.
Thank you.
Love to hear the story behind that, but not now, but it would. And we will definitely drop those links and your contact information
Right.
in the description with this episode. So people will be able to click on that easily. And thank you so much. This has been a really joyful conversation. Like I said, I got some really good nuggets. I hope our listeners and viewers got some nuggets as well. Do you have any final thoughts, any call to action, or anything to wrap us up and take us home, Sarah?
Yeah, so I would say, just to kind of put all of the pieces together, whether you're in a business and it's your business and you're struggling to kind of find joy in it again,
Mm,
whether you're in a job and you're like, this is really not feeding me. In fact, it's draining me. There's a
yeah.
couple of things I would encourage you to do is, one, sit down and evaluate what are my values. And that's certainly something that I could help with. Or if you're really just feeling lost and not sure where to go next, maybe that's a time to book a call with you, Teresa,
Mm,
and like, let's take the test and let's look at what are our strengths and weaknesses and how can we capitalize um and leverage those things, right, to move forward.
for
And
sure.
you always have more options than you think you do.
Love
It's just
that.
being brave enough to look into it.
I love that. Just knowing that we have more options than we actually thought. Another
Absolutely.
big piece of wisdom. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking us out on that. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you, everybody who's listening or viewing this. We appreciate you. If you found this beneficial and you know of somebody else who might want to hear this information, please share this episode. I'm going to invite you to subscribe, share, like, all the stuff that we're supposed to do when we like somebody. But pass this episode on. And again, thank you so much, everybody. We will see you the next time. Bye
Thank you
bye.
all. Bye.